On October 11, 2006, Officer Adam Piskozem from Superior, Wisconsin, noticed Bryan, covered in blood and hair, returning home to the Transitional Living Program housing during a routine home visit. Piskozem was concerned that Bryan got hurt or that he may have hurt someone else in a violent crime. Welcome back to my channel, The Dark Diaries. Please make sure to subscribe for more true crime, and smash that like button if you enjoyed the content. Now let's get back to our story. As Officer Piskozem approached Bryan, he saw him putting his hand in his pocket, raising suspicion that he might be carrying a knife. As Bryan's probation agent from the Wisconsin Department of Corrections, Officer Piskozem went to confiscate any potential weapons. He also noticed that Bryan's pants were loose, and his underwear had blood on it, worried of the possibility of him reoffending his crime, considering that he had a prior with assault. Bryan's hair was also in disarray, as if he went through some intense ordeal. In response to the situation, the Department of Corrections requested Officer Piskozem to take Bryan Hathaway into custody for further questioning, leading to his transportation back to the county jail. Bryan underwent an extensive interview with other agents while Officer Piskozem awaited outside the interview room. Finally, the agents came out and concluded that Bryan Hathaway should be charged with having sex with a deer. Yes, you heard it right, a deer, like Bambi. In fact, it was a roadkill that Bryan came across on the side of a road while biking and had decided to indulge himself after noticing it. He told detectives that he was aroused by the sight of the dead deer and wanted to drag it into the woods to have his way with it. When he was finished, he was angry with himself because he knew it was wrong, but he couldn't help it. Notably, his prior assault in 2004 involved shooting a 26-year-old horse, named Bambrick, in Parkland with the intention of having sex with it. He was spooked by a neighbor nearby and unable to complete the act. He received a 3.5-year sentence for that shooting, with 18 months of confinement followed by 2 years of extensive supervision. And it was during that time that Bryan reoffended with the dead deer, just 16 days after he was released from prison for the initial crime. He might have been carrying a knife with the intention of committing another animal murder for sexual purposes, but instead, he took up the opportunity with the deer. Thankfully, Wisconsin laws explicitly forbid committing acts of sexual gratification with animals, and the district attorney argued that Bryan should serve the remaining 2 years of his sentence behind bars. He emphasized on the sexual nature of the case and the parole violation shortly after his release. Furthermore, they found him in possession of horse catalogs and magazines with revealing pictures of women. However, Bryan's defense attorney argued that the statute did not apply to dead animals, asserting that the term animal should pertain only to living creatures, not carcasses. He reasoned that Bryan had been convicted of a non-existent crime if the statute excluded carcasses. Moreover, the defense pointed out that Bryan had not received any counseling or rehabilitation services during his time in jail. Therefore, it was no surprise he reoffended. And by just locking him away and did nothing, was not helpful. Both parties agreed that Bryan needed treatment. He did indeed make calls seeking for treatment help after his release. However, the group suggested to him was the pedophile support group, and Bryan was uncomfortable to join. There wasn't a support group just for bestiality, so Bryan would have been a unique case for individual therapy instead. The circuit court judge, Michael Lucci, imposed a 9 months prison term, stating that the nature of that condition is bothersome and can raise legitimate concerns in the community that the behavior could escalate from animals to humans. This behavior is something that must be addressed at this point. Hathaway will have the opportunity to do that within the confines of this sentence. I believe rehabilitation is absolutely necessary in this case in prison. Most people understand that an animal does not necessarily cease being an animal once it's dead. The primary focus of Wisconsin's criminal statute, dealing with crimes against sexual morality, is on human behavior and on protecting sexual morality in the community, and not necessarily on animal protection. As the case would be set for trial, both the prosecutor and the defendant agreed on a joint recommendation to withhold sentencing Bryan, as he entered a no-contest plea, accepting the conviction without admitting guilt. Instead, he would receive 1 year of probation, undergo a sex offender evaluation, and receive treatment from the Institute for Psychological and Sexual Health in Duluth. The prosecution prioritized Bryan getting the necessary treatment over mere jail time, believing it would be in the public's best interest. Though, you might hope this would turn Bryan around, he once again violated his probation by breaking into a large animal barn during the Head of the Lakes Fair. It is a fair that happens every year in Superior, Wisconsin, where everyone can come out to join the festivities and live music. Spotted by a woman, Bryan was found hiding behind a poster board, staring at the cows. He later admitted that he was indeed inside a cow barn and a barn where rabbits and birds were, because he was looking for a friend. Maybe a furry friend with benefits? His case was also a subject for political satire over the internet, such as, "Freeing Bryan is one of the most important social justice of our time. Liberating people's love for inanimate objects, plants, animals, and household appliances." His latest mischief happened in 2012 when he assaulted an off-duty female cop after shoplifting at Walmart. She found him looking suspicious, constantly ducking inside his vehicle looking at passers-by. She knocked on his window and called 911 for police response, but he was trying to make a run for it. She tried to grab his shirt, but he broke out of her grasp and pushed her onto the pavement. Police later found a backpack with 2 new boxes of cell phones in it, still had the security device from Walmart around it. Do you agree with the judge's decision? Is having sex with a dead animal considered a crime? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Please support me by smashing the like button and subscribing to my channel. Turn on all notifications for new upcoming videos.